we dated off and on for approximately 25 years, off and on. And what he would do, the things I found out later in the relationship that we considered bad, he stayed away from me. And when he was doing good, he always came around me. And he always, when he was doing good, it was good. But when it was bad, it was bad. And he ended up getting on drugs. I did not know he was on drugs. When I found out he was on drugs, it was too late. By this time, I had married him. And October 6, 2007, I married Gregory Thompson. And 90 days after I married him, I found out he was on crack cocaine. And when I found out, I came home one day and I caught him getting high. And at that particular moment, I knew all my hopes and dreams were gone. And he seemed like he was the one for me, but he wasn't. And so by me being in love with him, I took a lot of abuse from him, verbal abuse, the lying, the missing in action, the getting high, the going away with no money. And when he would go away to get high, everything would be fine while he was missing in action. The problem came in when I didn't want to let him back in. And when I didn't want to let him back in, that's when the abuse started. He wanted to tear up the house. He wanted to call me names. He wanted to tear up the car. He threatened to kill me often. If I went to the police, he was going to kill me. And by the way, Gregory was on parole. And I would go to his parole office seeking for help. Anybody I can, someone help me. I got very little help from the parole office, but I learned that you have to put a restraining order. So that's where it all began, the real madness with the restraining order. Once I put the restraining order on him and he saw I was no longer playing with him, that's when all hell broke loose. He really tore up things when he had no safe haven to come back to, no enabler to help him. I went as far as to have interventions to help him. I took him to church, any organization I thought that could help us, the psychiatrist. Everybody said he was fine, but I knew he wasn't fine, and he knew he wasn't fine. And so by me knowing, that was like a blemish on him. And at first, I was afraid to tell anybody. Not so much afraid, I was ashamed. I wanted people to think that we had the perfect marriage, but we didn't. It seemed perfect on the outside, but once you came inside these walls, all hell broke loose. And he just became what I didn't want. He was just the opposite of what I thought that was so good in him. He was the opposite. And I had to live with that for a moment to come to grips with what really was happening. And so I eventually started telling people. And because I was like, why should I be ashamed? I haven't done anything. So I started telling everybody. And that infuriated him more when I told. And he just started breaking up things and tearing up things, and I'm going to kill you, calling you out of your name. This is something he had never done before. Call you out of your name, call me out of my name. And I just kept going down to the police department and going down getting restraining orders. And a restraining order is only as good as the paper that is wrote on if the person doesn't abide by it. And he knew that. Now this man I'm telling you about was a very, very, very smart man. He was almost like the smartest person that I ever had a personal relationship with. But just as smart as he was, he took everything that he knew, all his intelligence, and did bad things with it. Because he was on drugs, and the drugs overtook him, overtook our marriage, and eventually it overtook his life. And now, here I am today. I had to kill my husband, someone that I loved, someone that I wanted to take care of and see get well. But it put me in a position where I really don't want to be. But this is where I am. So I live with it every day. I live with the idea that I killed my husband because I had to protect my life. My husband, after he saw I was not playing with him and the police were looking for him, he kept calling and telling me he was going to kill me. Every day he was going to kill me. No matter where I went, he would call on his cell phone. I'm going to kill you. I saw where you are. I saw where you're going. I know what you have on. And I would call the police for help. They would come, but they couldn't catch him. So eventually, on October 28th at 11:32 at night, he climbed up. I have a 3-story home. My bedroom is on the 3rd floor. He climbed through my window and came in my house and began to beat me. And I was so afraid of him. I had went and bought a gun a couple weeks before and started going to the rifle range to learn how to use it. And when he came through the window, I still didn't want to kill him. I didn't want to shoot him because he was my husband. I wanted to help him, but he kept beating me and beating me and beating me. And I had been laying in the bed with the gun for about 2 weeks because I was not afraid of him. I was scared. It's the difference being scared and being afraid of someone. He came through the window. He knocked everything over on my nightstand. I was asleep. I was like in a daze. I couldn't believe it. And when he came through the window, he was so high. It was like he was out of his mind. And when he came through the window, he beat me. And I had no alternative but to shoot him. And I killed him. And it was one of the worst days of my life. It was the worst day of my life. So today I sit here telling you, I am a survivor. I'm here today. And I have a foundation starting today called the Love Foundation. Matter of fact, just last week in the state of Delaware, a lady went down to the courthouse with her to get a child support order enforced, I think it was. And her husband's father shot her and killed her, and shot and killed her girlfriend, who was only going with her for moral support. And that day, it brought back so many memories of me running in and out of the courthouse 3 to 4 times a week, taking any friend I could with me because I was afraid, I was scared. And just to get there, and they tell me the same thing, that he has to stay away from you. And I kept telling them, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And they listen. So, this is where I am today with the foundation and with the lady. It's just like shook the earth from under me. And I said, I have to do something. This has been resting in my heart for such a long time since it happened. Well, today is today. I want to make a difference in some other lady's life. The gun is not the solution. It is not. Because you have to live with that. It's not the solution. The solution is the first red flag you see. Don't shove it under the rug. Because that's the red flag that's going to come back to bite you.